nights, neon lights, crazy dreams. AJ Brock and Zach scheming wild things. Movies that flopped or never got their time. They breathe new life with sequels on their mind.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Frantic Nerdcast presents Sequelize, at the show where we take a movie that didn't deserve or never got a sequel, and we come up with the idea for a sequel horror.
And I mean, I say again, the phones are just off the hook. Like, people are just chasing
DMs.
emails.
They're all rolling in, mate. They're all rolling in.
Incredible.
How many did we get for the Warcraft one? Because there were some amazing ideas for the Warcraft movie.
The WoW CU
from
popped.
some.
The WoW CU?
The WoW CU popped.
WoW CU popped. All right. Well, what do we got tonight for the lovely people who haven't read the title of this video?
So in tonight's episode, or today, or this morning, or whenever you decide to listen to it, we will be doing The Fifth Element. Now, did you know that this is a French film?
I did, yeah. Luc Besson.
I did not know it's a French
No, I
film,
did not
and I
know
thought
that
that was
either.
awesome because they don't speak very much French in it.
He wanted to make the Valkyrie movie.
Yeah.
Not Valkyrie. What's it called? Valerian.
Oh yeah.
He wanted to make Valerian, but couldn't get the rights for it, I think.
Sure.
And so he made this in the same vein as Valerian.
Nice. Yeah.
And then
I can-
eventually
okay.
got to make Valerian anyway.
Cool, I can see that. Anywho, The Fifth Element. It is a 1997 science fiction action film conceived and directed by Luc Besson, as well as co-written by Besson and Robert Mark Carmen. It stars Bruce Willis, Gary Oldman, Ian Holm, Mila Jovovich, and Chris Tucker.
What a cast.
I forgot Chris Tucker was in this.
How can you forget?
I don't. It's been a long time. I forgot he was in this.
I love cycling back to this movie every couple of years, and every time it's still just fucking fantastic. It is a great film. Primarily set in the 23rd century, the film's central plot involves the survival of planet Earth, which becomes the responsibility of Corbin Dallas, portrayed by Willis, a taxicab driver and former Special Forces major, after a young woman, Jovovich, falls into his cab.
Lucky duck.
Very lucky duck.
Excuse me.
To accomplish this, Dallas joins forces with her to recover 4 mystical stones essential for the defense of Earth against the impending attack of a malevolent cosmic entity. I almost got there.
Yes.
I was so close.
Nearly got it. You nearly got there.
And then, as always, so we are going to sequelize it. So we're going to come up with our own ideas, spitball it around, and then at the end we're going to mash them all together to make the ultimate sequel.
Now, before we start, do we have to separate you two a bit further again tonight, or are we going to be okay?
No, it's okay. It's
No,
okay.
if anything, though, it'll be me upsetting him with my takes on this rather than the other way around this time.
I don't know. I just had a quick look over my notes and fuck.
All right. Well, I'm going to go first. So
Sounds good.
I wrote mine 3 hours ago, just because I was sick last week and completely forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's set the scene.
So if we actually did the show last week, you wouldn't have had notes.
Probably. All right. My film is entitled The Elements of Evil. It has been 5,000 years since the last time that evil had been defeated by the 5 elements. Its lifeless body still floating around the earth as a secondary moon. For generations, forces of mankind and life in general have been preparing for the next coming, as it does every 5,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
The film begins with a group of priests across the world gathering the elements in the 4 stone forms, and a young girl known as Callie, a young woman, known as Callie, a direct descendant of the last 5th element, and Corbin.
Mm-hmm.
But upon the opening of the containers, the 4 elemental stones disintegrate in the priest's hands into dust, while at the same time, a number of men in black suits with lifeless expressions appear in the room as if stepping out of the shadows.
Have you just done a Men in Black crossover?
Yeah, sure. They kidnap Corey, pulling her into the shadows. As she is sucked into the blackness, she says, "They are born again. Rescue my brothers and sisters." And she is gone. One singular man in a suit stands before the priests and their military escorts, who fire upon him with the bullets passing through in puffs of smoke. The shadow comes, and evil will not be stopped. He bursts into a black smoke and disappears. Cut to somewhere else on Earth. We meet Sarah, a mortician who is about to cut a body open, as the man's eyes open and he shoots up. The man begins to speak in gibberish, which, when the translators in the room kick in, soon discover that he is in fact one of the elements and says that he must try and find his brothers and sisters in order to stop the shadow. Sarah gives him a name, Terra, because he is the earth element.
Oh no. Oh no.
I wrote pear as in the fruit pear, not pear. So I'm like, why did I write that? The pair head out on a mission to discover the remaining children of the elements. Along the way, being hunted by the Order of the Elements, priests who have become fanaticalized by the stories of the elements of past. And they wish to get the elements for themselves in order to gain their power. Also being tracked by the agents of the shadow. Meanwhile, we cut to a Grim Reaper-looking motherfucker standing on a planet, smallish planet with very sort of medial humankind sort of situations on it. I am the evil, he says, before ripping the life of all of mankind from the planet. Life does not deserve to live. He then devours the planet and turning it into a lifeless husk reminiscent of the planet from the first movie. He stands upon the surface of the planet as one of his shadow men appear next to him. Go forth and foretell my coming. We will spread evil across all life forms. And with that, the planet begins to move. Sarah and Terra travel from planet to planet trying to track down Terra's brothers and sisters. In their long trips together, they begin to get close with each other. Eventually, they discover a woman on a planet who can control weather. The people there do not know where she came from, but do not anger her. This is in fact Alora, the air element. Terra and Sarah convince her after much yelling and fighting that she is, in fact, one of the elements, and she accompanies them on her travels. On the dead husk planet, Callie is being held by the shadow, who is trying to destroy her sense of love. Knowing that love is the fifth element, and in destroying it, he will in fact destroy the element. Zengi, the water element, is being held. Oh, sorry. The fire element is a male stripper, who the team discover on a backwater planet. His name is Maru.
I was going to say, is his name Flair?
Maru becomes infatuated with Sarah upon their meeting, which makes Terra jealous, although he doesn't know why he's jealous. He doesn't understand the concept of it. Zengi is a water element, is being held hostage by the priest cult from earlier. Three elements and Sarah must fight their way through, but just as they get to her, the shadow agents grab her and pull her into the darkness. The team, now disheartened, not knowing what to do, begin to bicker with each other. Sarah attempts to make them stop, but gets hit by Maru. This sends Terra over the edge, and he loses control and destroys a small planet with all the people on it. Eventually, Sarah talks sense back into him, telling him that they are the only ones who can find their sisters and stop the shadow. The team steals the spaceship and make their way to the shadow dead world. Along the way, Terra and Sarah get intimate, and Sarah tells Terra about her life and how it was nothing until he came into it. Aww. They arrive on the planet after a big gunfight with some powers chucked in there just for the fun of it. They defeat a whole heap of the agents and they rescue Zengi. They then confront the shadow and try to rescue Callie, who now is a shadow of herself. She proclaims that they have lost. The shadow proclaims that they have lost. Callie no longer feels love, and without love, the elements cannot be completed. He then kills her. As a lifeless body falls to the ground, the other elements feel her death, which sends them into a rage. They all begin to attack the shadow. Terra gives Sarah a kiss and says goodbye. He charges him one after the other elements, and they all fall. The shadow walks next to a screaming and crying Sarah. I'm sorry, my girl, but humanity is a joke, and they do not deserve to exist. You were an accident born of hatred. The shadow's planet now closes into Earth, the source of all humanity. Sarah stands before him. No, death is a part of life, but it is not your place to end us all. Her belly begins to grow. Light begins to emanate from it. In a matter of moments, it is the size of a 9-month pregnancy. She takes a piece of sharp metal from the ground. Life is love. Love is in the air, in the water, in the ground, and on fire. Most importantly, she holds the sharp scrap to her belly. Love is all. She slices the stomach as light erupts from it. Her lifeless body drops to the ground as a glowing being stands before the shadow, the exact mirror of him, but glowing white. Hello, my love, it says. She is the light, the everything that is good. It's time for you to stop this. Humanity will always win. I will always let them win and always help them to beat you. It turns to her, it was just you and me floating through the weather when we loved and created life. It's not right. It must be stopped. No, my love, she says. It's time for you to be stopped. She kisses his lips and cracks his neck. I'm sorry. The planet stops, creating a third moon around the Earth. 5 orbs float from the woman's stomach. Now, children, go and help humanity. 4 of the orbs fly off into space. The 5th floats above Sarah's lifeless body. Don't worry. She is the new mother. She is the 6th element. She is life. And with that, she fades into a light orb and then floats into Sarah's body, which kicks and wiggles until it kicks back to life, sitting up with the orb floating in her face. Terror, she says, I love you. And she rubs her belly, and it will love you too. Thank you. I will name it after you. The orb hovers for a moment and then flies away. She smiles, and the light flashes her into nothingness. Montage of humanity going on about their life with no idea of what nearly happened. The end.
So, she got pregnant, had a baby,
It's a wild ending.
got pregnant, had a baby, died, came back to life, got pregnant again.
Yeah. She birthed the life, so she birthed all of the elements after they died.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe the first pregnancy could happen earlier, so it's not just like a...
I was actually thinking that would be a good spot to sort of end with her being pregnant and that sort of being an ending to go into another movie.
I don't want another movie.
I can tell that you don't want to.
Well, considering they have to be set 5,000 years apart, that's just
Yeah,
that's a
but
lot
no.
of time.
It's like it's not so much that it's another movie. It's part 2 of that movie.
No,
That's what
I'm not fucking Zack Snyder. My movies are done, one done. I want to go to the theater. I want people to go to the theater and walk out and go, I'm glad I saw a whole movie.
You did see a whole movie.
That's right.
In 2 parts.
No, you saw a whole movie and it was the movie done, dusted.
Okay.
I got some futuristic space-like Avatar Last Airbender vibes there as well.
I was actually going to name one of them Korra,
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed it.
but that's always going to happen when you bring elements
Yeah,
to life.
exactly.
100%.
It didn't click
Yeah.
in until during your story. I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, yeah. It's there too.
Because, I mean, really, the way I looked at it was, it's always going to be the same concept, really, of find the elements, put them together,
Yep.
and then the one element is love, kind of thing. So it's always going to be that same concept as the first movie. So I was like, let's change it up, and the elements go, and it's now like a adventure, go and find the pieces and put them together kind of movie, but they're all people now.
Yeah, okay.
And the end of it, I stole from a book I wrote, started writing, which was two elemental forces that created life.
Right.
And
Fair
considering that's what he is, I thought, we'll go with life.
I like
and
it.
being life being his counterpart, and life is actually the elements, hence always tries to help them.
What actually I like about the way that's because it kind of gives it resolves that big
Malevolent.
that one. It resolves that like big bad, but then it's got capacity for so many other directions to continue if you wanted to continue it as a franchise.
And I mean,
whatnot as
in
well.
necessary, he never necessarily would have to die either. Just because he died this time, he
Yeah,
could
that's
still
true.
come
It
back
come back in
5,000 years.
5,000
So I actually had 2 plots written for this, and that was very similar to my one, The Sixth Element, where it was effectively not necessarily set 5,000 years in the future, but it was Lilu as the love element having to find the 6th element of chaos, being like the yin and yang and that sort of thing. So it was it's sort of similar to that plot, but that's not the one I'm sharing.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, that's mine. Who wants to go
I'll go next
I
then.
was going to say Zach can go next because mine's going to be interesting for all 3 of us because I can't remember what I wrote.
Excellent. I love it.
So mine is called The Elemental Wars. So in the years following the events of the 5th element, Earth has prospered under a fragile peace. Lilu and Corbin Dallas have become symbols of hope across the galaxy, but trouble is brewing beneath the surface. Ancient factions representing the 4 elements, earth, water, fire, and air, have begun vying for dominance. These factions, long dormant, are each led by powerful rulers from distant planets, claiming to be the rightful protectors of their respective elements. Tensions escalate as these factions discover the existence of the 5th element, life, embodied by Lilu. They believe that controlling the 5th element will give them unparalleled power to reshape the galaxy. With the balance of the universe at stake, Lilu and Corbin are pulled into a dangerous conflict between the warring elemental factions. As the factions clash, a mysterious force begins to manipulate events from the shadows, intensifying the war and driving the universe closer to destruction. Lilu must unite the warring factions and harness the power of all the elements to confront this hidden enemy, a powerful entity that seeks to plunge the universe into chaos. Along their journey, Lilu and Corbin encounter new allies, including elemental warriors who have mastered the powers of their respective elements. They travel to breathtaking element-themed planets, from the fiery deserts of Ignis Prime to the floating cities of... I've written this word, don't know how to say it. I'm going to go with Error, to Broken Peace.
They travel to the planet that must not be named.
Yes.
We are the knights who say, "Error."
But the key to saving the galaxy lies in the ancient forgotten knowledge of how the 5 elements must work in harmony. In the climactic battle, Lilu discovers that the 5th element isn't just a force for life, but the binding energy that holds the other elements together. She must tap into a power far greater than before, combining all the elements within her to stop the war and defeat the dark entity manipulating them from the scenes. Now, I have actors for this one.
Oh, hello.
So, going to pull, futuristic sci-fi thing, obviously Bruce Willis probably couldn't reprise his role
He
here.
100% cannot.
So, I've gone with Glenn Powell.
Sure.
Yep.
Something of a similar.
Batman in space, I'm for it.
Yep.
So, Lilu would be Mila Jokovic again.
Yep.
So Ignis, who is a charismatic but volatile leader of the fire faction ruling the desert planet of Ignis Prime, would be, I've got a male and a female one here, Michael B. Jordan or Charlize Theron.
I'm always for either of those actors, and Charlize is phenomenal in action movies. Atomic Blonde was fucking amazing. So,
You could almost have both of them and play that off of something the way that it no, you couldn't. You could only have one.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who, so I like the idea
Yeah.
of both. I was looking through lists and both of them sort of jumped out at me.
I mean, to be fair, Michael B's already done Flame On, so
Exactly.
just continue it through.
A wise, serene leader of the air faction is called Eris, who commands the floating cities of Error. That's Halle Berry.
error.
Galon, the stubborn, rigid ruler of the Earth faction with vast armies spread across mountain fortresses. I went Christopher Walken for that one.
Oh, okay.
Something a bit out there. Under, the secretive and elusive leader of the water faction, whose underwater cities hold hidden ancient knowledge, Tom Hiddleston. The Harbinger, the powerful, mysterious entity working behind the scenes, sowing chaos for its own dark agenda, is Alan Tudyk.
Cool.
Yeah, he's so good at a baddie. Yeah, those that creepy kind of fucking baddie,
Yeah.
man. He was so good as fucking Alpha in Dollhouse. Oh,
And then, as a teacher, I have a conclusion. So, Lilu and Corbin's mission is not just to save the galaxy, but to forge a new era of peace where all elements can coexist, preventing the galaxy from being torn apart by war.
Cool.
I like it.
Scene.
I like it. It had a very similar vibe as mine, still with the actual airbendery life elements. I like that you
the
didn't do the
factions.
jump as well. It's kind of a different baddie, whereas mine's the same baddie kind of thing.
Well, that's why I went with this. As I said, I had a second one called The Sixth Element, whereas it was basically love versus chaos or life versus chaos, like the yin and yang sort of thing. But I like that the elemental war factions because so you get to see a bit more and involve a bunch of different characters that way. That it will be more of an ensemble cast sort of thing.
I like it.
I do as well. I think my favourite thing about it was definitely the factions and how that can sort of draw upon the different bits across the galaxy. I think that was a pretty cool concept.
Yep.
I like it.
All right, Brock.
All right,
Bless us with it,
everybody
mate.
fucking
Here we go. Buckle up. Let's go.
Strap in because I am learning what I wrote at the same time that you guys are. Now, I loved this show as a kid. I go back to it now. It holds up, as I said before. Really fucking good. Now, apparently, I did a prequel.
Okay. No, that's fine.
We haven't done one of those before. We've done
I thought
series.
about it myself doing a prequel.
Cool. Well, I apparently did it. Let's see.
I'll say we're 3 episodes in. We've done a reboot. We've done ensemble mashups, and now we've done a prequel.
And we've created a cinematic universe. Yes. So I've called it Elements. Now, the idea would be that you don't know that it's a prequel to The Fifth Element. So it's just a movie called Elements. The idea is that it's just... we've spoken about it before, how they did the Mad Max thing, and people didn't know that Mad Max was a sequel or a sequel movie until they actually seen it. So I wanted to try and get that same
You're going
vibe.
for a split situation.
Yeah, exactly. So something along those lines. Now... What have I actually done? So,
Just read from the top roads. Go for it.
bring us back to today. Doesn't even slightly align with the lore because I went and looked into that 5,000 year thing. So I went and thought a bit further, wanted it to be set in a now sci-fi horror-esque. So it would be, in essence, the fifth element being drawn to the other elements. So whilst I wasn't too concerned for following lore completely, I didn't really want to completely ignore it. And yes, it's just going to happen. So where I landed, sci-fi horror, not like a jump horror like the sci-fi, like your aliens, how they sort of try to jump out you and whatnot. More thriller-esque like the Cloverfield Paradox.
Okay, yep.
Yep. So it will be set 5,000 years thereabouts before the fifth element where... what have I done here? I had an idea of a prequel. I've written a sequel.
Oh, we're so smooth at this.
For those listening at home, this is great. This is absolutely fantastic. I mean, you can't get this sort of radio anywhere else. So now that we're back to doing a sequel, it'll be set 5,000 years after. So I went for the 5,000 years after as well. Mm-hmm. Ultimate evil is defeated permanently by the light of creation. Now that the light of creation has had another little thing that occurred, as with every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So with the death of evil, there was the birth of a new element. Now, rather than being a monstrous planet-sized ball of fire, far simpler in that it will be the fifth element's opposite. Humanoid female, similar looking of Lilu, however with different traits, just colour, eye colour, maybe skin tone, dress sense, those types of things. Just like those subtleties between the two.
Blue hair instead of red hair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Premise will be that Earth this time has remembered the events from the 23rd century where the creation of light and the fifth element had been defeated. They are, however, not aware of what happened to the fifth element as she went into hiding after losing her love, Corbin Dallas. So the idea is that
she
they
went
sort
to a
of...
tube, it fucked.
Yeah, so they did that. They had a life of some kind, but then after Corbin obviously decayed, fifth element, she's, I don't know, let's say she's like everlasting.
She's everlasting.
Everlasting
okay,
being.
Yep.
So because she's immortal, Corbin faded and she just went and, well, she went into hiding after he died because she just went into her own sorrow, more or less. With that being said, the movie would actually circle around the new element, remembering nothing from before as she was simply found in a pod in space. It will follow her regaining consciousness, getting her wits back about her, similar to the first movie. However, in this instance, the repercussions of her learning are not good, in that she learns her strength, so breaks someone's arm. She learns of human history, so kills the closest person to her at that moment. So her formative isn't supportive. It's like that nurture and nature type thing. She goes down that darker path compared to Lilu. From there, it will be kind of a mouse hunt movie where the new element is hiding and hunting the other patrons of the ship. So it's more or less surrounding this ship. The movie will be set sort of around that component. And so the crux of the movie will at least be from there. Once she has killed all the crew members, she ultimately takes the ship and steers for Earth for no reason other than when she is going through star maps, she sees Earth and something triggers a longing for it. The new element will end up back on Earth. Whilst I'm calling her the new element, by this time she'll have a name, and during the movie there will be no reference to being an element until sort of this-ish kind of point. When she returns to Earth, it appears lifeless from the ship, dust clouds, lightning ripping through them, desolate space look, but radars are picking up life as naturally similar to the fifth element, increasingly intelligent, so it is more or less adjusting the things on the ship to boost its capacities. Taking the ship below the clouds, she sees that the dust cloud is a defense mechanism to ward off others. The ship has a code to get onto the planet, or at least past the defenses. So she's all good from there. Lands where Earth is a futuristic metropolis. It's not actually desolate. Lands on Earth, met by armed guards, as the ship was registered to one of the guards' family members. So knowing that he wasn't meant to be back yet and seeing... stranger, the issues, fights, the new element gets away. She's rigged a whole bunch of weapons on the ship to kill should it be required. So she's got a whole bunch of stuff to fuck them up if she gets caught or someone comes after her. She's now drawn through the city to a bar. The bar sign will be the first inkling of the fifth element, as it will have the stones on it. A subtle ode to the movie, so it'll have the fifth element, like the stone symbols up on the bar sign. So step inside the bar, she'll be served, and behind the bar there will be a Corbin Dallas license from the first movie, so just one of his license up on the board. Heavily intrigued, ask the bar who it is. The barkeep will say, "I don't know," and point to a mysterious hooded figure in the corner. When approached, the fifth element will look, or Lilu will look and say, "What do you want?" The element will say, "You." She'll look up. It'll be Mila Jovovich, straight up, same appearance from the first movie, and end movie. So I did do a 2-part. I think I've done that with all of mine so far.
Probably pretty close.
Okay, we got off to a shaky start, but we got there.
We went
in
from
the
a prequel to a sequel.
Prequel to a sequel. So yeah, the summary of it is that it's pretty much going to be discovery of the new element, whatever her name ends up being. It gets set around a ship, so that cat and mouse element where she gets discovered, gets her strength, starts to kill off the people on the ship so she can take it over, and then it'll get back to Earth.
So Lilu is revealed at the end of the movie?
End of the movie. Very end of the movie.
Who discovers the sixth element being...
Nobody. That's the idea. You don't know. So whilst that's why I was saying it's the new element, but nobody knows that it's the new element. She's got a name by now.
She's just causing mayhem. So
she's causing mayhem because she and that's the thing. Like all it is like people on a ship. They find a pod, find this person within it. This person, when on the ship, she learns of history. However, like this, similar to what Lulu did in the first one, sees it on a screen, but cracks her shits and kills the guy next to him. Still don't know what it is, but she's sort of discovering that she's super strong. And then the crew members are discovering that she's super strong. Still no idea that she's...
So really it's the third movie that does tie it all back into the whole fifth element idea. Yeah,
it would be ultimately it's the very end of the of that one. Similar to Split when he went to the bar and it was like it's that same sort of...
So does...
He wouldn't have seen Split.
No.
I could tell.
So whoever is chasing Sixth Element, are they going to have some sort of behind-the-scenes connection that I'm assuming will be revealed in the next movie?
We could do that. I hadn't thought that far ahead because it was an element... It was kind of like they didn't know that it was the Sixth Element. They weren't necessarily chasing it. They just found it in space. And the reason that she gets people after her when she's back on Earth is because she's stolen someone's ship.
Yeah.
And because she's on someone's ship who's not meant to be back yet, and they sort of like, hang on, why is the ship back and who the fuck are you? So then it escalates from there.
All
right. Well, those of you at home, you have heard the 3 ideas. Tell us down below in the comments.
3.5 ideas.
What are your favourite ideas? And we are now going to attempt to smash them together into la perfect Fifth Element script.
Okay.
A sequel script. So, I reckon... I reckon you could take your Sixth Element thing of like that Jupiter Lilu situation and chuck that as like the shadow baddie in my kind of thing. So like that's the new baddie.
Yep.
But it can still have that element of they don't know who they are, but make them more powerful than just a duplicate of Lilu. So they are like, they're accidentally sucking the life out of planets kind of things.
Okay.
Like
so that they would still ultimately grow into that massive planet.
Wherever they go, carnage follows sort of thing.
I think, because in mine, the idea was the planet was just a vehicle. The person was the shadow. So I think with yours, if they start off as just a normal person on a ship kind of situation and accidentally kill someone, but then they accidentally... They suck the life out of them, making it old, and it just slowly progresses throughout the film.
Yep.
And maybe like halfway through the film, she realizes what she is.
Yep.
That she is anti-life kind of situation. And then if we took Zach's...
I was going to say, and then possibly you could have her being then shunned, and like when other people start to cotton on what she is and what she's doing, rather than help and support her deal with this, everyone turns
Which
on her.
sends her down that lane.
Yeah.
And then we had Zax, because we're 5,000 years since the last one, and similar to what you said, how everyone knew that they, like Lilu and all that, kind of saved it. You could have the groups have now organized into those specific factions throughout the galaxy, kind of thing. And you still have each one of them brings like the elements to the temple, and then that's when they kind of crumble and they become the manifestations of the elements. And so they have to still travel to all these different planets, like you said. But because they disappear, all the elemental planets are like, motherfuckers, this was your fault. No, this was your fault. And that's what creates the war in history.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Which then you could have maybe Lilu, maybe she doesn't die, but she reincarnates.
Yeah, okay.
So that way you don't have to have the same actor, but you can have someone who looks very similar to it. And that could be like the essence of love kind of situation. And maybe she is the person who finds, like in mine, finds one of the elements, but she doesn't know who she is.
Yeah, okay.
But she kind of, you get clues throughout the movie where you realize who she is. She's starting to realize who she is when she gets in contact more with the different elements. So like once she finds one, she's kind of like drawn to him. And then the second one, she starts to figure out a little bit more until the fourth one, when she finds out she is loved.
Yeah, and you have that sort of like, fate connection. They're always going to meet somehow, somewhere, and that sort of thing. Like
they're drawn to each other.
She's an ordinary person until it sort of sparks on. I was going to say I don't mind Brock's bad guy character as the person that's the mysterious force behind manipulating all the element wars in mine. So that
well, I think that she would still do that.
Sweet.
Yeah,
like as she's doing it, and like maybe because you'd either want her to grow throughout it, or maybe she's like from the get-go, she's the reincarnation and she knows exactly what she is.
I was going to say maybe you could have that growth scene, but have it at the start of the movie as like the pre-title intro, where you see her...
Like just a little 10 minutes.
Little 10 minutes of her doing something, and all of a sudden, she does something that's out of control, and that's how she gets shunned, and you see that there. But then you don't see her again until, 90 minutes into the movie, and it's then
or
finally
even if it's like a Nimue thing where it's when she's a kid... She's discovered and she's taken in, and then because she like touches plants and they die and stuff, she gets shunned. Yeah, and like the whole people throw shit at her, and other kids pick her on and stuff, and so she ends up leaving. And like you do that shot of her walking towards camera, just angrily as a kid, and it just like slowly morphs into an adult version of her, which is like a very similar look to Lilu from the first one.
And then as she gets point blank, that's when intro comes across and stuff like that.
And I think then she can be in the background creating, like she's the reason the element, because she was born before the 5,000 years and she hasn't come to power yet. Yeah, she's the reason the elements sort of dissipate or some shit like that. Yeah, and spread out, and then she creates the elemental. Yeah. She's the one who goes, "Hey, that was water's fault. You guys should attack water."
Yeah, and then when she then. Having it set close, like if you had it set closer to the first one, you could have her then go, "Oh fuck, we need to deal with Lilu, otherwise, like she counters me," sort of thing. And so that's why she starts to instigate the elements going against Lilu as well, until Lilu sort of bands together and gets like the, not necessarily.
Corbin dies in the war, and that's why she's been in hiding.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I reckon.
Actually, no, the reincarnation.
I reckon go with the reincarnation idea, just because that way. You can make her forget who she is, and have that, because you can have that kind of the hero's journey again, kind of situation. And then I reckon right at the end, maybe something happens which makes her sort of morph again into like that perfect mirror image of each other, and then that creates that sort of yin and yang thing that I was going for towards the end of they were life, so they birth the elements, the elements of their kids.
And I guess you can always end up sort of thing, like as you said at the end of yours, you can't really have peace without life and death sort of thing. Yeah. So you got that yin yang. So sort of to summarize it, we've got the sixth element of like chaos or death, or death and decay, that sort of thing.
Pulling the
strings of an elemental war. We have love and life's rebirth coming through, connecting with each element to find that central persona that embodies that spirit and that element.
And then also this time, instead of trying to find love like she was in the first one with Corbin, this time she's finding a family.
Yeah.
And
so
that's kind of what, because at
Which
the
was
end,
more or
when,
less kind
when
of
that
the
shit
show as well,
goes down, that's when the other four elements get hurt or something like that.
I was gonna say,
and that makes her like,
because you could end it with yours and how you've got, that whole idea of loving things doesn't mean you have to keep them there. Like, you can let them things go when you have those deaths at the end of yours that sort of empower everyone and bring back that sort of elemental split that you talked about.
And at the end, they could wipe each other out, and then, like, the last shot they could wipe each other out, which stops the kind of death that the shadow's trying to cause. And then the last scene can be babies, the twin babies that have been born in in a mum's arm or something like that, and it's them just reborn again. And it's like the cycle continues.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I think that
It's probably one of the first true amalgamations of ideas we've had so far.
I think so.
In a whole 3 episodes.
No table was flipped.
and I think that's ideal, because then you're carrying on that saga of the 5,000 year course, which then we haven't destroyed. It can continue on again because they're reborn. You have that yin and yang thing, which they didn't have in that first one, but kind of comes into this one.
Yep.
You still have the ability to make it that semi-comedy that the first one is so loved for.
Yep.
Because I'm sure with going to all different elemental planets, you could have some weird motherfuckers.
Yeah,
in there.
exactly.
And especially even if you have Alan Tudyk as one of the Chris Rock character, essentially, because he could play that to a T.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris Tucker.
He's pretty versatile, so.
100% he could.
But I think that'd be a fantastic.
And then, so
I'd watch the shit out of that.
Are we calling it the sixth element?
I like just elements.
I don't mind that too.
Yeah, just elements. Just call it elements, because it is about all of the elements. It's not necessarily about a specific one kind of thing.
I brought that because I mentioned to mates last night that we were doing the fifth element. He's like, "Are you going to call it the sixth element?" I was like, "Oh, okay, that's the title of one of my 2 ideas."
I did think about it, and I'm like, "No, that's shit." That's
And the reason I didn't is because I didn't want it to be glaringly obvious that it was a fifth element sequel and or prequel.
And I guess, as I said, depending on how you do it, you could have, if we went down Brock's trilogy idea, you could have part 1 being them all.
I think we have to poo. If we're taking AJ along for the ride, we have to poo-poo the 2-part idea.
it's a single movie, no 2-parters. It's a single movie. You watch it. If we want to do another one, it's another sequel.
It's another 5,000 years.
Maybe we'll get to the prequel then.
Oh yeah, a prequel. So you could do a prequel 5,000 years before. Because when did the first one happen? It's 2300 or something like that, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it would be the BC.
23rd century.
Yeah, it would be BC kind of situation. So you could have prehistoric people, and you could do
the dinosaurs elements.
I think I'm remembering why I didn't end up doing the prequel, because I started writing prequel and then looked into the 5,000 years, and then it would have been 5,000 years before. I'm like, that ain't gonna work. So then I just went straight.
No, it could still be futuristic if you want a prequel. It's just not on Earth.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because you could bring in the Mondo Shans or something like that, because how old is that civilization?
Yeah.
Because that would be, I'm assuming, older than.
Well, you could go
Earth.
the Halo route, where in Halo, humankind is
the second evolution.
Much older than they actually think they are. It's just another alien race went, you guys are starting to get too strong. We're going to make you forget that you're good, and essentially put them back into the prehistoric age.
Yeah, or there's, I'm sure there's other ones, but the Stargate route where you've got the ancients, which is effectively humans, but they evolved too far and then they reset.
The prequel could be that this malevolent force, got it, was successul.
Yeah,
and that's why
that was the wipe out the dinosaurs.
Exactly.
Yeah. There you go. Look at that. Look at us go. We made a sequel and a prequel.
2 for the price of 1.
There you go.
Oh, thank you everybody for coming along this fucking ride.
It's been a ride. So make sure in the comments you drop a like and let us know what idea you liked the best. If you liked an individual one or our amalgamation or our prequel, and always if you've got an idea, drop it in and we'll have a read.
If you know anyone who worked on the fifth element and who would like to make a second one, hit us up. We'll happily write it and send it out to you. And we'll make a lot of money.
I'll be sure by then to clean up either the prequel or sequel within my writings.
But that's pretty much it for the episode, guys. Make sure you head to you're on YouTube now, so make sure you like and subscribe. It would really help us out. Head to Facebook, follow us on Facebook, Instagram.
Check out the podcast. Check out Frantic Plays Games.
Yes. That's really about it, I think. Anything else, guys?
No, that's it. We'll be back in Sequelize in 2 weeks' time for Superbad.
Oh my God, we're doing Superbad.
We're doing Superbad.
We're
apparently.
doing Superbad.
Yeah.
That's what's in
I think that's
what's in the script, so I'm going with it.
I think that's an executive decision by Zach.
Oh, look out.
Yeah, there we go.
No,
He's
I
shaking
wanted,
his head.
I wanted I Am number 4 for our 4th episode.
Right.
And I got shut down for that. And
See, I don't think we should do Iron number 4 just for the sheer fact that it has multiple sequel books and,
all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
I've only watched the movie.
Superbad. We're making Superbad. So Seth Rogen, get ready. Bye.
See you later.
Late nights, neon lights, crazy dreams. AJ, Brock, and Zach scheming wild things. Movies that flopped or never got their time. They breathe new life with sequels on their mind.